All right, welcome back to Cousin Sal's Winning Weekend Selection. Sunday is still a little over a week away, but you can go ahead and blow it off after this interview because our next guest is about to tell you everything you need to know about college hoops. He knows all the Cinderella teams, mainly because he's the Prince Charming of college basketball analysts, ESPN's Jay Bilas. What's happening, Jay?
Not much, Sal. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Okay, let's start at 68 and go backwards to number one. Who is the 68 team? I know it's not really your thing. You're an accomplished analyst, but have you ever picked all 68 or do you not care about that?
I don't care. You talking about the teams that make it?
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, all respect to all the different bracketologists that do a great job, but by the time we get to Sunday, everybody gets 67 out of 68. I mean, they give you the automatic qualifiers, so you should be able to do pretty well. And then at the end of the line, there may be one you argue about, but it's pretty clear cut based on the formula that the committee gives.
Yeah, but it's just the same. It's not fair that the NFL experts can be praised for going like 8 for 32 in a mock draft round one. But God forbid George Mason sneaks in and you didn't call it. There's hell to pay, right?
Yeah, I mean that I don't know when that came in. I mean, I don't remember brackets being a big deal when I was a player a million years ago.
How much does the actual filling in of a bracket and the beautiful aesthetics of the bracket itself figure into the plans of expansion? Like, as it is now, I could barely get the nerd in accounting who lives with his mom and 6 cats to fill out a bracket. If you go to 96 teams, I don't even know what that would look like. Do they consider that like, hey, we have the greatest gig in the world with this bracket and people being able to fairly easily fill it out? Why would we toy with that?
Well, I think it's for a couple of reasons they want to. But to me, for most Americans, I think I can say this confidently. The tournament doesn't start until the first Thursday when it's a 64 team event. Everything else, like I don't know of any of these bracket competitions that even take those games into account. I don't think they do. And so you, unless you see a team there that you think is going to advance, past the first or second round of the main draw, what happens in Dayton doesn't matter for any bracket. So who cares? And there's a big who cares factor in this, but the schools want the money from units that they get from getting into the tournament.
Absolutely. All right, let's start. Let's talk practically, starting at the top. Tell me about Auburn. Been number one much of the season. You've called a lot of their games. You a believer in Bruce Pearl and the Tigers?
Yeah, they're the best team. Now, the Duke beat them at Cameron early in the season in that SEC ACC challenge, which turned out not to be a challenge because the SEC won it 14-2. Right. But those are kind of the two teams that have separated by a hair from the pack as being the two best teams. Doesn't mean they can't get beat, but Auburn's got everything. They're an older team. They've got experience. They've got a Player of the Year candidate that can run. He's a run stopper, kind of bucket getter type player, and their quartet of guards shoot it incredibly well. I think the four of them together shoot 40% from three, with the schlep of the group shooting like 38%. Right. And they all shoot 85% or better, with two guys shooting 90% from the foul line. Like, they're legit, and they can defend, they can play fast, they can play slow, they're physical, and they played the best schedule. Nobody's won more quad one games than they have. It's like 16 now. And they won't play a non-quad one game until they get into the NCAA tournament in the first round. That's how good their schedule's been.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because they're part of the SEC. And right. I think Joe Lunardi right now has 13 SEC teams in. Is that too many for you? Are you a believer? I think at one time you were like, you have to be at least 500 to get in. But when you have a conference like this, maybe that goes out the window. We might see some like 7 and 11 teams in the conference getting in, right?
It goes way out the window now. With a tournament this big, it goes way out the window because, you've got the SEC is playing a different schedule than everybody else. It's ridiculous. Like in the last 5 games, I'm in Tuscaloosa right now. Alabama's played nothing but not only ranked teams, but teams that are, the top 20 in KenPom. I mean, it's absurd, their schedule. And same thing for other teams in the league. Whereas you go to the ACC right now, it's a historically weak year in the ACC. So there are a bunch of teams that can't find a quad one game in that league, which is really unusual. So I think you have to go where the strength is. And right now the strength, if this were an 8-team league, like when I played, then I would say, okay, if you're not 500, then maybe there's an argument against you. But in a 16-team league, that's a lot different.
Yeah, and plus SEC, they're not able to play football at a high level. You have to give them something, right?
I know it's a shame that they can't do anything else.
Janai Broom, you talked about him in Auburn. He's up against Cooper Flagg for the Wooden Award. You get a vote for this, right?
I think I do. I don't even remember.
That's great. Nobody knows if they get a vote. I love it. Everybody asks, like, yeah, they'll hit me up if I have to vote.
I do submit a list. Like they ask you to submit like a top 50 to start the year, then a top 25. And then recently, I think it was a top 15 or something like that, which seems kind of silly right now because it's a 2-horse race. But my sense is like, I think Cooper Flagg is the better player, and he's certainly the better player long term. He's going to be the first pick in the draft. But it's hard to turn away from what Broom has done all year against the competition he's done. It's kind of a coin flip, honestly. But I probably need a little bit more time to think about it. It's a really hard decision. And most years it's not hard. Like last year wasn't hard. Zach Edey was the player of the year, period. But this year it's going to be a hard decision.
All right, I won't put you on the spot. Yeah, odds were even. They were dead even early this week, and now Cooper Flagg is like a almost 2-1 favorite. I wonder if their head-to-head game earlier in the season, that will be the deciding factor for people like you. For a lot of people who are just like, this is such a coin flip. We have to have something to break the tie.
That's a fair point. It could be, but I still think it's a coin flip. Like, so Flagg is leading his team in scoring, rebounding, assists, steals, and blocks. And Broom is leading his team in scoring, rebounding, assists, and blocks. He's not leading him in steals. What a schlep. I can't believe, we're even talking about him. But it's that kind of thing where you're looking at, last time I can remember it being this hard of a decision was probably when it was Adam Morrison and JJ Redick. That was a really hard call, and they both played really good schedules. But you hate to say coin flip, but you kind of feel that way.
Who in the 3 to 6 seed range do you think can make some noise in a tournament? I know the seeds haven't been divvied up yet, but we're talking Clemson, Arizona, A&M, Missouri, maybe.
Well, Missouri, all of them can being the operative word there. Missouri is a difficult team to play against because they can really shoot it, and they switch defenses up, and they play a lot of people. And they've got some versatile guys that can switch and make things tough on you.
Now, another team a lot of people are talking about, Michigan State, Tom Izzo. It's going to be a 2 or a 3 seed, not an underdog going into that second game, which is big, right? So usually if he's an 8 or 9, I'm not going to say usually, but the last few years, and then it's a coin flip game if he's playing Saturday or Sunday that first weekend. How much damage does his team do with a good seeding?
They're a team that's actually surprised me because when I saw them early in the season, I just didn't think they were going to be this good. They don't shoot it very well at all. And they're actually a team of what I consider to be good shooters. They've always been good shooters in the past. But last time I looked before they played Wisconsin, they were shooting like 29% from 3. But the good news there is they've kind of adapted, and now they get to the free throw line like crazy. They've got really good depth. Their big guys are really starting to play at a high level, and they're a very together group. So they've got a bunch of different weapons that can hurt you at different times in the game and in different games. Will the shooting thing bite them in a game? I think they're a second weekend team for sure, just because of the team they have, and then Tom Izzo and his record in March. He really is. He's one of the greatest coaches of our time, in my opinion, in any sport. So I think they're second weekend, but I do wonder about their ability to make shots because they're going to have to in the tournament. You're not going to be able to shoot 29% from 3 and beat people.
Going to be fun watching them. Now, I was thinking about you, and you probably thought your dream job was as a basketball analyst, but now colleges are hiring GMs. Woj over to St. Bonnie's, right? Is this something that interests you? Could we look forward to seeing Jay Bilas, GM of Duke basketball?
Not Duke basketball, because Rachel Baker's got that knocked. I've never. That's a good question. I've never thought about that. I've had some other job offers in the past, and I like what I'm doing. At some point, I'm 61 years old, and I still feel great and clearly look great. But I do wonder sometimes, whenever I'm going to hang it up, absent getting kicked out and fired, I may. it may be because of travel. Kind of the amount of travel kind of gets to you. And I could see that happening. If that happens, I don't see myself just playing golf all the time, although it sounds really attractive right now. But that sounds like a good gig.
Okay. I'll make some calls. I know people.
That'd be great.
We'll see what we could do with that. All right. So now the UNC Duke, the rivalry's fizzling a little bit. I hate to say, do you think UConn St. John's could take its place as top rivalry for fans? Is that in the cards?
Well, I mean, I've heard the fizzle theory. I don't agree. Just because one team has not played as well as we expected in 1 year. I mean, Carolina went to the Final Four a few years, 2-3 years ago, and right. Duke's been very powerful. That rivalry has delivered for the game for the last 40 plus years. The difference with Duke Carolina is people outside of that footprint are really interested in it. And this year it's not been as compelling. I will grant all of that. But year after year, that thing delivers like nothing else.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know why I'm pushing UConn St. John's, but you're saying we're a few Patino, Hurley nose to noses away from that even gaining enough to even put it close to the stat. Like the old days when Calipari and Chaney used to interrupt each other's press conferences. We need a few of those before that rises to the level of anything.
Well, yeah,
special.
You need a few where they're trading championships with one another.
Right, that's true.
Like
too.
Duke and Carolina have been winning championships all these years, and they've been nationally ranked every year. It's unusual when they're not, when both of them aren't. That's not been the norm for St. John's UConn. I mean, it's a great game and it's fantastic this year. I'm not saying it's not, but there was a time when Duke Maryland was an unbelievable rivalry. But it was a short period of years, and those things can come and go. I've not seen any evidence of Duke Carolina coming and going. I mean, it's been there the whole time, and this year not as powerful as it's been, but that's been true in other years, and the game has been off the charts good.
Right. It's true. All right. You're an attorney. Your firm famously got the Duke lacrosse players acquitted, right? Maybe I made that up. But
no,
anyway,
that's not my firm. But
that's not your firm. Okay. I made that up completely. Who's a head coach, past or present, you'd like to join you as co-counsel during a trial?
Oh, wow. If I wanted somebody to look like a lawyer, I'd get Jay Wright.
Right.
If I wanted somebody to pound the table when we didn't have the facts or the law, I would probably have Izzo there. That'd be pretty cool. If I needed somebody to make an argument in my place, I would probably take Bruce Pearl because I think he could stand up there at the lectern and give an impassioned argument to any judge or jury.
Wow. I feel like you've thought about this a lot. You had 3 concise answers right off the top of your head.
I've never been asked that before. That's a really good question. I've never even thought of that.
All right. I do have one more question for you. This one maybe not as good. We call this Cousins Conundrum.
Cousins Conundrum.
All right. Here it is, Jay. Duke wins the title. They go 6-0 over the 3 weeks of the tournament. They roll everybody by 40. They even call on you to cut down the nets. Okay? But in order for this to happen, every day for the next 30 days, you have to sleep next to the Duke mascot, the Blue Devil. Nothing weird, just him in his costume in the same bed. I'm guessing your wife would choose to sleep on the couch. But if this doesn't happen, Duke loses to Quinnipiac in the first round, and everyone knows it's your fault. Do you take the deal?
Well, I actually have know a little bit about the mascot. Have you ever gotten a whiff of how bad that thing smells?
I have not, but I have a feeling I know where you're going.
The mascot's running around in Cameron all the time, sweating in that costume. That thing smells horrible. So I would say that good luck Quinnipiac in the second round. I don't think I would volunteer to take a whiff of that for 30 days in a row.
Oh, I could have sweetened the deal. I don't know. There's a lawyer in you. I couldn't get it by. All right. Jay Bilas, thanks so much. Enjoy the tournament. I hope you pick a perfect bracket this year.
No danger of that. Thank you, brother.